Athens, welcome to the Classic City Business Podcast. Our mission, to connect our community to the local business owner. If you love Athens and love supporting the people behind our businesses, then you're in the right place. We get to know the people behind the sign. Some are legends, others are on their way. You're listening to the Classic City Business Podcast with your friend, your host, all-around great guy, and owner of Generations Commercial Cleaning, John Glutt. So get ready, buckle up. Hang on, here we go. All right, guys, welcome to the Classic City Business Podcast. This is your host, John G. And today, we're connecting our community to the people behind the sign at
Local Coffeehouse and Study Lounge.
Julie, I am really excited to find out specifically what you're doing here because it's got a little bit of a different vibe. But before we get started, go ahead and introduce yourself to our community and introduce your husband as well, as he's working behind the signs over here.
So I'm Julie Freeman. New to the Athens area. We have one location in Covington. We're bringing our whole setup and vibe here to Athens. My husband, Chris Freeman, again, fully involved in the operation here, but he is currently operating the operation and getting these doors open. So he is unavailable to be here at the moment, but he is around.
We did. We made him turn off some of the, I guess it was a saw, something he was cutting over there. You got to give us 40 minutes.
Right.
So he's been banished to the basement. I think he's working on something down there. Maybe even doing a food run.
I think
something
he may
like
be
that.
doing a food run in one of the local establishments, yes.
Give us a little bit of a history about because you didn't start off in this business.
Correct.
Right? So tell us a little bit about yourself and then get right into the business.
Sure. So I was a barista back in the 90s. Obviously there's a 90s revival right now, which is great because for me it never left. But I always said, hey, if I could do anything, it would be to open a coffee house. And obviously that did not come to fruition for some time. With the college route, the corporate route, started my own accounting firm, grew that, and then really during the middle of the pandemic, we stumbled upon a building in Covington, Georgia, with no aspirations of owning a coffee house whatsoever. We were actually decided to look at the space to work with our accounting firm. And as soon as I walked in, I said, nope, this is a coffee house. And I would do a stage here, and I would do a bar there, and this would be a library. And within 90 days of that date, we opened the Covington Local Coffeehouse and Study Lounge.
And that was in 2020?
That was in 2020. We opened December 19th, 2020. So we opened in the middle of the pandemic. Everyone told us we were crazy.
I was just going to ask, what is wrong with you?
Right. I saw a TikTok the other day, and it was a girl, and she said she massively suffered from what could go wrong syndrome, and I think I also suffer from that. It's you don't know if you don't try. What's the worst thing that could happen? You open a business and it doesn't work out, and that's that. You tried. So we built it out ourselves. We did everything ourselves in 90 days, opened December 19th, and haven't looked back. It's been there for 2 years. It's well loved in that community, and
describe it, because this is a little bit different than anything I've heard. Yeah,
so it's literally a bar without alcohol. We are open early mornings till late nights. In Covington, we're stay open till midnight. We have a TRUE Study Lounge for people who need to cram or just want to hang out. But we do live music on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays there. Here in Athens, it'll be different dates. But we've had massive concerts there. We've had just the acoustic singer-songwriters. Basically, our philosophy is if you have the guts to get on stage and sing, you get on stage and sing. But it is a true throwback 90s coffee house. Not a ton of tables. It's mostly oversized leather sofas, big velvet chairs, coffee tables, side tables. We want you to feel like, that you're home, that it's somewhere to relax. It's a little underwhelming when you walk in as far as technology. There's not screens everywhere. We wanted you to have a place to come and just unwind and not just be hit with every signal possible. We built a place that we wanted to hang out at, and it's really funny to be at that location and look out because everything else on the square, there is another coffee shop / bakery on the square, but everything on the square is just that very, very clean farmhouse aesthetic. And then you have us, we're playing Nirvana and Pearl Jam and Stone Temple Pilots, and everything's dark, and It's just a completely different vibe than what you find really anywhere else right now. But when you walk in the doors, if you were alive in 1997, you get it. It's truly a throwback from the people who were there, you know.
That's awesome. We're sitting here, and this is obviously still in the middle of construction.
Correct.
We're looking out the front window. We're actually looking at East Clayton Street now. We're right at the corner. This actually, we're opposite corner of Chick-fil-A.
Correct.
To give you guys an idea of where we are, right at the corner, actually, I guess, of College. They blocked all this off. And Julie, this was, I want to say, around the time of COVID. Mm-hmm. And they've kept it blocked off. And so obviously now this is almost like a courtyard out here.
Correct.
So you're kind of like in a little sweet spot.
Yep, we stumbled, not a lot unlike our Covington story, is that with Athens, you know, we've had multiple people come to us over the last 2 years that have come down from Athens to see different performers who come down just for different music things that we have going on, and have said, man, we really need something like this in Athens. Please come to Athens. And so when we found this building here on the corner of College and Clayton, it was just a no-brainer. It was available. We were looking. It fit our vibe. We since found out REM lived upstairs for years, which, I mean, it's just, to know us and to know our vibe, it's like, well, of course they did. So it's really... That's
just an ironic moment, right?
It's just one of those things where you're like, well, here we go again. And that's kind of how
meant
it played
to be
out. You know, it's if we had come up here and looked at the building and it wasn't available, we would have just kept on keeping on in Covington. But everything kind of just fell in line, and it was, the building's available and you can have it now, and then there's this, and it just rolled on, and so here we are.
So who do you see? What do you imagine? This is a college town, obviously.
Right.
What kinds of people do you imagine being in here?
It's
what does
so
it look like for
funny. You know, the true aura of the 90s is that no one cared. No one cared what you looked like, what you smelled like, who you were. You had rock stars hanging out with vagrants. You had, you know what I mean? You had the preppy girls hanging out with the guys in Guyliner. The 90s were just such a ubiquitous time of anything went. Everything was fluid. And that's kind of what we've captured in the clientele or customer base in Covington, and we assume that's just going to transfer here. So you have the second grade school teacher who's in there knocking out their lesson plans next to the emo punk kid, you know, who's composing music on his MacBook. You have the singer-songwriter who's trying to get a gig for that weekend with the Facebook ad exec. You know what I mean? It's such, everyone just coexists. And so here we kind of feel like it's just going to continue the same way. The people who have stopped in and like stuck their head in and asked to look around, it's been that eclectic mix of the college student, the delivery driver for next door, the guy who's walking down with his down the street with his kids. That's just like, oh my gosh, I used to know a place just like this. So it's really, again, we've kind of just lightning in a bottle caught that mix of everyone gets it. So, and that's one of the things is we always joke that our place is very unpolished. It's not sleek. It is that grungy late 90s feel. And so if someone's sitting in our bar and is like, oh my gosh, this bar is not completely smooth, you probably shouldn't be at our bar. Yeah.
So again, eclectic, right? It's kind of like, what did you say your partner's name was?
Oh, my husband? That's Chris.
Oh, Chris. Chris is walking through the room now. He's very much what we describe as an extrovert. Yeah. Did you not say that you were excited about answering questions? Yes, that's all he's got. One word answers is what he said.
He's a man of few words.
Well, since you're not.
Correct.
Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about you? What's something about yourself that maybe even some of the people that you work with, I mean, I'm not asking you to surprise your husband or anything, but we might go, say, what? You did what? What could be something when you were younger, ambition that you may have had, anything?
Honestly, I think the coffee house is that moment because everyone's always seen me as that very, corporate mentality accountant. It's always been, she works, I say 9 to 5, it's never 9 to 5, but, she has, her kids and her husband and things like that. And so to know that I have this 90s grunge rock side, people are like, wait, what? Like you, really? And so it's funny to see that the I call them kids, they're, between 15 and 23 that work for us. It's funny to see that come out of them, So, but as far as like things that are surprising about me, I'm pretty much an open book. If you walk into the coffee shop when I'm there, you get the whole book of me. You'll get to know everyone who's ever walked in our coffee house in Covington, and the people we've met here in Athens. Fully aware of myself being the owner and our story, because I will spill my guts to anyone that'll listen.
So what did you want to be when you're growing up?
That's a strange question, because nothing I do aligns with that. I actually always wanted to be a lighting director. My mom worked in advertising for a while, and I got to grow up around that, and so watch the sets, and so I wanted to be a lighting director as long as I could remember. But then again, became a barista in the 90s, and always was like, again, side job. If I could ever do anything, that's what it would be. But no, for the entirety of my childhood, I wanted to be a lighting director. Weird.
No, that's why we asked the question. I was trying to find something that was outside the box and didn't fit the mold. What is something that excites you that and outside the business? Like, is there? In fact, you shared with something with me before we started recording. Favorite sport?
Yeah. Yeah, hockey. Yeah, I'm a massive hockey fan. I know that is not a Southern thing. When my husband and I got married, or when we were dating, he was very quick to inform me that Georgians do not watch hockey. So I've managed to drag him into that world. But no, I'm a massive, massive Nashville Predators fan. Like, games will be watched here.
So yeah, okay. So hockey fans out there, and there are some in town. I do know this for a fact. So they now have a place to come. Is the point?
I will be happy to turn this into a hockey bar and watch.
We will. We will anxiously sit on the edge of our seats and watch to see what happens. But no, that's cool. I am not a hockey fan. However, I had a neighbor that one time had gotten some free tickets to see the Avalanche when there was a pro team in Atlanta.
Sure.
And we went down and watched that game. And I will tell you this. I thought, I'm not into sports where there's low scoring. It's just hard to watch. And I thought, well, this is cool because they don't even have 4 quarters. There's 3. And so, no, it's 3 periods, John. And got this whole lecture. But I wasn't bored for 1 second. I mean, it's nonstop. So I do get it. I understand that there's an appeal.
Well, I've got your one thing. Actually, it just came to mind. I'm kind of surprised my husband working back here didn't remind me. He's laughing now because he knows what I'm about to say. Your one thing that people would be surprised is that I have actually been escorted / thrown out by police of a hockey game. On my birthday.
True story. I got 2 words. I love it. This is good stuff. So this is what I'm talking about. I asked this question and people go, oh, I'm an open book. Yeah. Anything you want to know, it's like, right.
It was all over social media.
Yeah. So it was literally on a book or Facebook is what it was.
Yeah, it was. I had people yelling at me as we were leaving, like chanting for our team because I was thrown out at a visitor's arena, and so it was a whole thing.
So were you married at the time?
Yes.
So you, at that point, you were all in. There was no escaping.
Yeah, I had to walk out right behind her.
Yeah. Heads down.
It was an ordeal. It was fun. No one went to jail, so that's a good thing. But the police definitely escorted us out of the building with Predators fans cheering behind us.
So I would tell you the story where I was escorted out of a building, but that has never happened to me. So we'll skip that. That's funny. What would you say that your heart and passion is? Is there anything outside, outside the business where there's just something that, you donate to, or it doesn't have to be something like that specifically, but just something that your heart skips a beat, or some sort of passion on that side of your personal life?
It's really funny because I sit on the board of 2 charities. One international, I sit on the board of the Miracle Hope Foundation, which is an international cancer treatment charity. And then I also sit on the board of the Henry County Dream Center. And obviously giving and things like that are definitely one of the things that I'm very, very passionate about, honestly. And it's so weird to even kind of say this because it didn't, I don't know that it came organically. It was kind of just morphed into that. And it's due to our employees. I'm so invested in young people right now. I mean, myself, I'm 40. I'll be 42 next month in a couple weeks. And I have a 17-year-old son who will be 18 next month. And it's just it's these kids that have come to work for us, our employees. We are so incredibly loyal to them, and I'm so invested in them doing well and succeeding and being who they want to be. And I have most of our employees have been with us since day one. And so to have, you know, someone that started working for you when they're 7 or when they were 15 and now they're graduating and they've worked, you know, 20 hours a week for you for that many years, it's one of those things where I'm so invested in these kids and what they have going on and making sure that the people their age have a place to go. And that's really become the heart and soul of what local is, because I feel like college age, high school age, whatever, like when we were growing up, you could go to the mall and hang out, you could go to the coffee shop and hang out, they don't have anywhere to go anymore. There's nowhere to go, there's nowhere to do anything. And then, you know, parents or school administrators want to say, well, they're spending too much time on the internet. What else are they supposed to do? Where are they supposed to go? You don't want them on the street corners, you don't want them at the malls don't exist anymore, you don't want them at movie theaters, you don't want them at restaurants because they can't afford to pay for, you know, meals. What do you want them to be doing? They're going to be doing something. So that's kind of the way we give back in the community. That we're like, hey, come hang out. Come, you know, if you buy one coffee, if you don't buy any coffee, I still have to pay the rent and the utilities. So come hang out with us. And in doing that and being like kind of that safe space for people of that, you know, of that age, it's loyalty. The loyalty to our brand and our companies have just, it's crazy. It's so funny to see how these kids have just been like, nope, this is my coffee shop. Like, we don't have to worry about any kind of like damages or people not taking care of things, because they're just so like, no, this is my place. The teenagers that work for us will call it their coffee shop, and they've just taken ownership of it. And that, again, that's not even just our employees, it's also the customers. It's just so wonderful to see that we were able to make such an impact on these kids' lives. So.
That's really cool. By the way, guys, that little humming you're hearing, that is not audio technicality. We got a bunch of construction going on, not only in this building itself below us, but around us. It's been crazy. I think the city, frankly, is still dealing with the freezing water issues that we've had.
We got flooded twice because of it. Yeah.
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 Yeah. So some of you guys may know we have a commercial cleaning service and carpet cleaning service, and so we were out here actually on this property extracting water and putting blowers out and things like that. So yeah, it's been a crazy ride for a lot of us, I think.
It's been fun. I think they've busted up the sidewalk out here more times than I can count.
So there's a lot of stuff going on everywhere. What is the target date for opening up?
We are shooting for February 1st. We originally had hoped for December 1st. We also opened another company right down the street.
I was going to ask you about that. I was going to get there.
So we opened Athens Soap Company. Again, kind of just stumbled into that. But we opened Athens Soap Company first because it was a smaller build out. Project, right. So we did that one first. That one got delayed a little bit, which then pushed this one back. And then with the water issues that we've had here and just some other just planning and kind of just it's just gotten behind. So we're shooting for February 1st. We're actually interviewing for all positions currently. So we have those set up for this week and next week.
So since you mentioned it.
Correct.
Wow, you're welcome. Man, let's try. Since you mentioned it, what is the Athens shop or soap shop?
We opened Athens Soap Company. It's right in the middle of College Avenue, dead center across the street from Chick-fil-A, but dead center of College Avenue, the area that's blocked off. It is just a very small, think of Bath and Body Works if it was owned locally, sourced locally. Just a very, very small little boutique, but has all of the things that you know and love. You know, bath bombs, different soaps, candles, small jewelry items, lotions, hand washes, like all the things. But it's very, very just fun, clean, organic, vegan, cruelty-free products.
Where does the products come from?
So they're actually sourced from all over the Georgia area, but nothing is sourced outside of Georgia. So nice. Everything comes from inside Georgia.
And as we are in the local
correct
coffee shop, that makes a lot of sense. We like that mentality. here in Athens in our community. Absolutely. So I did know a little bit about that. When I was here actually working, we were doing the water extraction. I had walked down there. Actually, I take that back. I didn't go down there. One of your employees,
Mackenzie.
That's right, Mackenzie, saw me over here. She's like, was kind of protective, like, so are you working down there? Like, what are you doing? And so I said, yeah, well, we're working for Julie, and she goes, oh, she's got a shop down here, and so we started talking. So that's really cool. I was like, well, oh my gosh. So
yeah, that in itself speaks to the volume of how we treat our employees and how they are with us. Mackenzie's worked for me from day one in Covington, and she transitioned up here to Athens, and honestly, about half the staff that's going to be working at, well, half the staff that works at Athens Soap Company worked for me at local in Covington and have become UGA students and now work for me at Athens Soap Company. And half the staff we have here at local already, at local Athens, has worked for me at Covington, the Covington location, and became students at UGA.
So they already know the culture,
Yes,
exactly the vibe that you guys are wanting and what that looks like. So
we are super fortunate in the fact that we do have amazing employees, and there's one of my employees, I joke with her every time I see her. I'm like, you get it. She's a true 90s girl. I call her the vibe police. That she's if she ever walks in and someone's playing the wrong music, she's told to shut it down. But no, it's I've told them numerous times that it is just because of them that we even thought about coming to Athens, because I've got a group of people that I can just hand keys over and say, hey, I trust you. You've run my other shop for a year. Here's a new one. Have fun. And that's really the mentality behind how we treat our employees. Get your job done, have fun. Get on social media, tell everyone you're a barista and you're bartending tonight and to come see you. If you look at our Instagram at all, you'll see exactly how much fun our employees, or our Twitter or our Snapchat, you'll see how much fun our employees have at work. And it's because we allow them to do that. We don't take your cell phone when you walk in. We don't make you wear a dress code. Like the 90s vibe was to be you. I want you, if you want to come in and you're, and look like you just rolled out of bed, cool, that's great, It's all about individuality, and we completely embrace that. The tattoos, the colored hair, we embrace all that. So it's really fun to see that our staff from there is coming here. So
not only is the furniture eclectic,
it is, nothing matches.
The people that you have in here are eclectic.
Yep.
And you have, I think the coolest thing about what you just said was that half of your staff in Covington actually is going to be up here representing your brand, knowing exactly what that is, and meshing that with Athens. So that's what's going to be fun and exciting to see. So
Someone downstairs used to work for us.
I told him, yeah, one of the contractors we have downstairs currently worked for us for a time in Covington, and so now he's doing our plumbing here.
So that's really cool. When you have a team of people that you can trust, and obviously you've built a very unique, not unique. You have built a very strong and comfortable culture that people want to be in. Mm-hmm. Obviously, just with Mackenzie's example of, hey man, what are you doing?
Yeah, she's super protective.
And that's awesome. So guys, I was going to tell you this. We were going to bring up the soap shop. But since she did, that's right. It's really actually a really cool, small, intimate store.
It is.
You walk in, everything's like right there, and the assortment and the variety surprised me in such a small space.
And I had to again take my hands off to my employees. Mackenzie, with her working for me for 2 years in Covington at the coffee house, when I knew she had moved up here, I said, hey, I have this idea, and she's like, what are we doing? And it's so funny because they know me so well.
What are we doing?
What are we doing? And I said, okay, I've got the soap store. I want you to run it. And she's like, cool. And she has run with it. She does the ordering. She does the inventory. She and I got together and did most of the merchandising. But I mean, at Christmas time, we had make your own gift baskets. And for $25, you come in and pick any 4 items. One item could be over $20. The rest had to be under. And we couldn't keep them in stock. We were selling out of the boxes daily.
So I hope this isn't too much, and since this is pre-recorded, guys, if you're hearing this, you know that it's okay. She did share with me, she goes, whenever you open up a business, this is a college student telling me this, which I found fascinating. When you open up a business, you're usually taking a loss, for a certain period of time. And she said, we actually, I think she said 2 months, not only broke even, but we made a profit.
Correct.
And so I was very curious, and since she was so open and really willing to talk about business.
And that's one of the things that I've impressed upon them is being an accountant. To me, numbers are just numbers. That's what my big girl job was to be an accountant. Numbers are just numbers. I have numbers, you have numbers, everyone has numbers. So Mackenzie's one of those that I told her from the beginning. I said, I'm giving you this. I want to open this. I want you to run it. I trust you. So starting first quarter of the second year, we'll do profit share. So you get a piece.
I like that.
You get a piece of. So she's 21 and 20. She's 20. She's working at a company that gives her profit share because she works her tail off and she deserves it.
And it's teaching her.
Correct.
How to run a business.
Correct.
And how to be an adult.
Yep.
There's a few layers to that onion.
Yep.
So that's beautiful too, because one of the things that we talk about and we're doing this year, we're actually in the process of trying to get one done this month. We're doing a spinoff called the Classic City Business Podcast Extra, and it actually has to do with charities. I know it's close to your heart, as you shared with us. You got a couple that you're on boards with, but we're looking for specific organizations, not just any. And when I say any run of the mill, I don't mean to discount them, but I really love organizations that invest in people and empower those people to be contributors to our community, not just consumers.
Correct.
And even though this isn't a charity organization, it's a business, but you're preparing young people for life, and I think that is really super cool.
Well, it's funny because we do treat our employees like family. Like we, our Covington location, we go all out for holidays. We go all out for Christmas. We go all out for Halloween, because why not, right? And so we had decided we were going to do a Disney Haunted Mansion theme at our Covington, and we decked this place out with Haunted Mansion stuff. It was amazing. It was all over social media. And we found out some of our employees had never been to Disney World to ride the Haunted Mansion. And we're like, well, you can't be part of it if you've never seen it. So we closed for the weekend and took our entire staff to Disney for the weekend.
I'm sorry, can I get an application?
We actually got lots of applications after that in social media. We actually had people come to the shop because they saw it in a Disney World post.
That's really cool too.
That we had taken and tagged, and they saw that. But it's kind of those things. And again, to the testament of our employees, we were able to take 20 employees from age 15 to 23 to Disney World, stay in hotels, took them to downtown Disney without a single problem. Like, no fights, nobody got mad, easy, But but going back to my employees, we treat them like family. They treat us like family. Half of them will call me mom. Will tell me things that I don't need to know. But
that's a different podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back right after this.
But they've noticed some of the empty buildings here on College and Clayton, and they're like, so what are you going to do there? And I'm like, I'm not. And they're like, what are you going to do there? Because we know once you get this one open, what are you going to do next? And I'm like, well, I would, so it's just like kind of the running joke of like they're never going to leave. Like I had two up here this weekend helping me paint walls, and Lauren, one of the girls who's with me for a really long time, she was like, I can't imagine not working here. And she's like, even in another girl that's here, Ashley, she's going to go pre-law at UGA. And she's like, even when I'm an attorney, I think I'll still be here. And,
that's awesome.
It's funny. We have, because of our culture, as you can see, we're currently building our bar. And if you look at it, you'll see that every employee we have came up to sign it. So there's all kinds of inside jokes written on the bar, just between us and our employees. There's pictures, but every employee, even if they're not going to work at this location, was like, oh my gosh, I want to come up and sign the bar. And so, Ashley, Lauren, Lisa, they were all like, in 10 years, I can bring my kids here and be like, look, I worked here. I did this. And that to me, that is the biggest, thank you. I've told them numerous times that the biggest way to warm my heart is that when you're my age, when you're 40, and someone asks you, what's the best job you ever had? And you go, man, I worked at this coffee shop and it was great. Call me. Because I was like, if you say it, call me and tell me, because I do that with the guy who hired me in the 90s.
I was just gonna say, it sounds like a personal story.
It is. I had no business. I was so not cool enough to work at a coffee shop in the 90s. At all. At all. And he hired me. I don't know why he hired me. He gave me this chance to work at this coffee shop that I was just not cool enough to work at. And it changed my whole mentality. It changed who I was as a person. And for the better. And I want these kids to have that. I want them to be like, man, I had this job and it was the best job I ever had. And it was so much fun and I loved going to work. And when they're 40, I want to be that answer, you know? So that's why we treat them the way we do.
That's awesome. I love the culture. It really sounds like it's a dream kind of situation. You know, we always hear these stories about the problem employees and how frustrating it is to try to hire people. And I'm going to ask you this question, then we're going to move on to the next segment. But just based on that culture, when you hire new people, I think I know the answer to this. There's a reason why I'm asking. Where do those new employees come from?
Well, I can tell you, we honestly, we just put on social media yesterday that we're hiring for we only hire once a year there. They were hiring 2 to 3 positions at our Covington location. Just after posting that yesterday, I got about 45 applications last night online. We have well over 30 applications for this location, and I just posted on social media right before we started this that we're going to do open interviews on Saturday. So it's and here's the thing is we're not curing cancer here. You know what I mean? It's coffee. It's coffee and it's music, and we are not curing cancer. So come to work, have fun, have a good time. You know, the worst thing you can do is spill a cup of coffee. That's it. That's as bad as it's going to get here. So when we're hiring, I'm not hiring someone who's worked at Starbucks for 6 years. That's
a different culture.
It's a different culture. You know, I don't want someone who comes in and says, "Oh, I'm a master barista from X, Y, and Z." I can teach you coffee. I can teach you coffee the way we do it. We do it different than anyone I've seen around here, because we do treat it like it's 1997. But I want you to have that easy breezy mentality of like, it is what it is. I'm at work. I'm hanging out. I'm doing my job. We hire personality. I don't hire seasoned baristas, and it's worked. It's worked well. And like so, my husband has laughed 100 times because he's like, you know, why are you hiring this person? Why are you hiring that person? And these people have been with us for 2 years. The first person I ever hired for our Covington location, and she's with us till this day. She was the first one to come up here and help. I hired her because she told me that she just got fired from her job the day before, and she was 15 years old. And I said, "Why did you get fired?" She goes, "I told them they sucked." And I said, "What happened?" She said, "Well, I was in training, and the training just was not complete. I didn't know what I was doing, and I told them that it really sucked." And I said, "Fair enough. I would want to know if my training sucked."
Yeah, right.
And I said, "I can deal with it. Cool, you're hired." So you know, it's one of those things where it's just because you have an attitude doesn't mean you're not going to get hired here. Sometimes you need a little attitude.
The reason why I asked the question, I thought you were going to say most of them were like referrals or people that actually were
everybody
customers.
Nice.
Yeah, that, oh man, can I work here? Because I sort of sense that there is that vibe.
Yes.
And there's obviously only so many positions that can be filled, right?
Correct.
So I was just curious. I wasn't sure exactly where we're going to go, but I just had a feeling based on just honestly conversations with Mackenzie that I had that day. And the way that she talked about the core group of people that she worked with down there in Covington. So
we call them our OGs. We have our OGs and our newbies.
That's awesome. So listen, I was going to try to have a clever segue to this last segment, but I'm just going to say, let's just go to the last segment, which is, this is my Athens. Well, this is going to be special for us because you guys are kind of new to the neighborhood, so to speak, right?
Correct. Yes, we have met lots of who I assume are locals. I don't know. I know college towns, some people are locals, some people consider themselves not locals. We've met lots of people, you know, on the sidewalk. There's lots of inquiries as to what we're doing. I think this building sat for about a year vacant. It was a Subway prior. And so, people are really happy. We came in, we painted the building, the exterior, we fixed lots of things. The mayor's popped in numerous times to see how we're doing. So we've met lots of people, and everyone we've met has just been so excited, and we kind of chuckle because they're always like, oh yeah, we really need this here. And I'm like, there's a coffee shop on the other corner.
But again, we're talking about culture, right?
Correct.
And one of the really cool we've had somebody on the show from Hendershots, and they do music. They got coffee. They've got a full bar. And that's a very unique thing that I don't think anybody else does. What you've described here is very different too. And I think that when you think of a college town, or when I do, you think about college students, you think about partying, you think about wanting to go out and drink. But there is a segment of that same community that looks around and says, there's nowhere for me to land without being around a bunch of drunk kids or whatever. So I too think that I'm being very curious to see how this all works, because I can see how it can. You guys obviously have seen how it can in Covington, but I can't wait to just stop in and see exactly what it looks like, because again, I think you're talking about the coffee shop across the street. It's not the same.
It's not.
So when they say, hey, yeah, we need something like this, it's because it doesn't exist.
Well, here it's a little bit different. Our Covington location, we do have the lounge, and then we have a separate library, and then we have our study lounge, right? And so they're all on the same floor, but they're very separate. It's a very old building like this too, but they're all very segmented from each other. Here we have the luxury of having an upstairs and a downstairs. So upstairs you're going to have the live music and the more of the bar, non-bar feel. Downstairs is going to be a very, very amped up study lounge. It'll be more of a quiet space, amped up Wi-Fi. You'll be able to order a kiosk downstairs and have the baristas up here make your order. But it's going to be a very, very quiet, calm place to study up until 3 a.m. So, because I know from my college days that it's just sometimes you just need to get out of your dorm to get the stuff in your head. So we have kind of that both ends of the burning both ends of the candle, if you so to speak. Because if you want to come upstairs and have coffee, or we're gonna have a cereal bar. So if you want to grab some Cocoa Pebbles at 2 a.m., we got you.
It's like the cafeteria,
right? We're literally gonna have a 9-foot cereal bar over here.
Awesome.
So it's just that late night vibey place. But if you need somewhere else to escape to, there is the downstairs study lounge.
That's what you're doing downstairs.
Yes.
Then. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yep.
I saw the rooms back there looked like storage and all that, but that front area, okay, that makes sense.
So we're
now.
going to completely revamp that area into a very cushy, cozy study lounge.
Very cool. Well, listen, thank you for doing this. I'm really excited about seeing what this turns into. Those who listen to this podcast know that I am a huge fan of Athens.
Right.
I'm a huge dog fan. We've talked about that too. But I love what it's been said, and you may learn this, that Athens is like the smallest big city you'll ever be a part of, meaning that it has a little bit of everything. There's these little quadrants is what I call them. I don't know if it's the right way to put it, but right here in Athens, literally within a walking distance, 10-15 minute walk, you can be down in the bottle works where they've revamped, where they used to do the glass bottles and clean and reuse and all that stuff, and there's shops and stuff down there. You got this downtown area, you got the Classic Center, you've got 5 Points. There's all these really cool things about Athens and the sports that it provides, obviously, to the college. But as a hockey fan, you may learn to appreciate the hockey team that's going to be playing here at the Classic Center. So there's so many really cool things that are happening, and so I'm excited about this being a part of that, and just adding to that little check that box, we got this too kind of thing. So
yeah, no, I am super excited to hear about the was it AHL or ECHL that's coming to town, because we will be a big supporter of that. As a company, we will be a big supporter of that.
Yeah, that's totally cool. So guys, as we get ready to sign off, definitely check out the soap tell me the name of it again.
Athens Soap Company.
It is a soap company. Okay. It's really cool, and obviously many of you have already discovered that, because I'm sure there's a lot of Christmas gifts that were purchased based on your story. So that's really kind of cool, but check that out. And then hopefully February
1, we'll
be able to come in here and check out this whole thing. So guys, I have a guest on the show today that is not familiar with the dog call. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to ask her to join me. If she doesn't, then we'll just put her in that, we'll put that check next to her box. But you may have to help me out and then just forgive her.
My husband comes over for this one.
Yeah, I really would love for you to join me. And he told me that he actually is a big fan of the school that my youngest son graduated from, but we don't talk about tech on this show because we like winning, people. All right, Athens, thank you for joining us. It's been a fun ride. Until next time, go dogs! Sick 'em! Ooh, 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 ooh. It was just me and you guys. That was it.
Sorry.
Okay, guys, we did it. We made it to the end of the show. Now that you've heard at least one episode, can you do me a favor? If you know someone you would like to hear on a future episode, you can contact us or have them contact us at podcastjohng@gmail.com or just message us on our social media platforms. We're on Instagram, Facebook. Just search the Classic City Business Podcast. You'll find us. One more thing. Please like, rate, review, and share. All of this really helps a lot. We really do want to connect our community to the local business owner. We believe this is a great platform to do just that. And thank you for taking this ride with us as we get to know the people behind the sign. It's going to be a lot of fun. And Athens, until next time, I'm John G. and go dogs.